So we are now live on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes.
And once it pops up on Instagram, then I got to click go live there. There's a lot of clicking going on.
A lot of clicking. That's
All right. So everything seems to be together. All right, Kim, let me know if Facebook looking good.
We look good.
Okay. Sound good?
Oh, no. Yep.
All right. All
Yep.
right. All right. Looks like we are good to go. Okay. All right. Everybody feel all right?
Yep.
Dannika.
Rock and roll.
Dannika. See, you know what?
Now, if you say it correctly throughout this whole segment,
Look,
it's going to be $1, not
I'm
a quarter.
gonna only say it once.
a
so
dollar.
He said we gonna keep it to
I'm
a
gonna say it
one name.
once.
Then it's $100.
I am going to say it once. All right. Y'all ready to get it going?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What's up, people? Welcome to Quit for What? I'm your host, Ramon Jamal.
And Kimberly Burnett.
All right. Kim was in the building, and we have a very special guest with us tonight. Her name is Dannika Stevenson, as she sips water.
That's going to be $100.
Like, oh, you had to see, you know what? Like I said, I'm going to just say it once, but
I'm going to pronounce it to your audience.
go ahead. You do that, please.
It's Dannika.
Dannika
There we go.
Stevenson.
Stevenson.
All right.
That's
All
right.
right.
That's
Well,
right.
we are so excited and happy.
Thank you
to
so
have
much.
you
I'm honored
here.
to be here.
Yeah.
I'm digging these. I'm digging this chair.
Uh-huh.
I haven't sat in a chair like this, but it's really quite lovely. Yeah, it's nice.
It's all right.
Mhm.
Okay,
I feel like a
cool.
VIP. You know? Ooh, this is nice.
Great.
And a
Great.
backdrop, you're like, ooh,
Right.
you know.
Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Greatly
Yes.
appreciated.
Mhm.
And I'm going to let the people know that you are a chef.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh
know.
yeah.
He's so hungry.
Oh, right.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, we had planned on having some tasting here, but we're gonna have to plan that for a later date. You know, and then
Yeah.
so after this airs, we're gonna have a lot of people that are gonna want to come to the tasting.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be even bigger than what it was gonna be. So we good.
I really want to do that. I think today I was thinking, I just wanted to relax.
There you go.
And not think about food. We're gonna have some food related questions, but I want to take the chef hat off,
Okay.
the chef gear off, and
Yeah.
really get to know me, and just kind of like share my story and the person behind the food, the person behind the profession.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And that's
Yeah.
exactly why
That's what it's
we are
about.
here. For sure.
Yeah,
for
I could have
sure.
wore pajamas today because I thought, that's. I was feeling that too. Like I bought some new slippers from Amazon. I'm like, oh yeah, I was gonna come right over here in my slippers, but you said you want us to be comfortable.
Oh
but,
yeah. So you're not too far from here. So you
not
could have.
too- I could have walked here, really close. So no, I'm grateful and thank you so much for allowing me to come and share my story. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. So I want to start off by asking you about your upbringing, right? You and your youth, the household and the surroundings, the people that were within your household, that may have influenced you in a sense to want to become a chef. Okay, so I guess I could just ask you, like, who was the cook in the family?
Well, I will have to give shout outs to my late great grandmother.
Okay.
Her name was Pearl Yarbrough.
Mhm.
We come from a history of servants, not just cooking, but working, just working these laborious jobs, and because we had to, and so my mother was a single mom, and she worked 3 jobs, as a matter of fact. So my great grandmother and my grandmother took care of me while my mom worked, and so I do remember just growing up in our background. We had like government. I don't know if everyone had government related assistance when it comes like that food assistance.
Oh yeah.
And we had the black macaroni, the black cheese.
Come on now.
And the powdered milk, and the big jar of peanut butter that wasn't spreadable. And my great grandmother was very creative and just coming up with recipes with the things that we had. We grew up the best we could, not having a lot, but it was just enough for us to feed our bellies, to feed our hearts and stuff like that. It really wasn't about the food; it was about family. But I distinctly remember my great grandmother making real good macaroni cheese. I think that's the best cheese. It's better than Velveeta.
Yes,
really, that cheese, you know,
it was amazing.
It was so good, and it didn't require a lot of it either. Just a little big slice, just put it in the pot, and some butter and seasoning. Woo, that was some good mac and cheese. And my grandmother used to make grilled cheese out of it too.
Yes.
So we used to have the thin bread. She cut a thick slice. She'll put some garlic powder on it. And then she would butter the bread, and it was like that buttery, soggy bread, the cheese that really didn't melt all the way through. And I remember we was like, "Thank you, Grandma," you know, and we would eat that. And so my great grandmother was a W amputee. And so I would climb on the counter to grab ingredients from the cabinet. I would sit on her lap stirring like greens and stuff like that in the kitchen. So I was the type of person that always wanted to stay in the kitchen. My brother, on the other hand, was always outside. But I didn't like to go outside. I didn't want to get stung by bees. I didn't like flies. You know, I didn't want to be running through the grass. I want to be in the kitchen.
Okay.
I always wanted to be in the kitchen. And so, but yeah, my great grandmother just showed me all those things in the kitchen. I thought there's this saying like, I'll say this. People always say, you know, the bedroom is where the real magic happens. I always say, I think it's the kitchen.
The kitchen.
Now people are like, nah, that's not true. But for me, because I'm in the food business, I have a passion for what I do. I always say that's where the real magic happens, because we got ingredients, we got pots and pans, we got seasoning, we got food, and we're just coming up with things and to make something really magical that tastes really good.
Right.
And if it doesn't taste good, guess what? You're still going to eat it anyway. Right. So
That's
I would
right.
have to give it out to her.
In a lot of households.
Yeah.
Still got to eat it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure quite a few of us experienced that. I know I did. You know.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, you know, was it really good, or was it just because it was what we had and we were young, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, you know, because if we were to have that today,
Yeah.
would it be as good as we thought it was? You know what I mean?
Well, right now we live in an era of convenience.
Yeah.
Everything is right now.
Right.
Cooking takes thought. It takes passion. It takes work. And a lot of us, we already work 9-to-5 jobs or have businesses. And the last thing we want to do after we get off of work is go in that kitchen and make something to eat.
Thank you. I thought I was the only one.
I get that way too. And so I think back in our era, like, we had to eat what was available. There was no other option.
Right.
You know, and you really feel like that plate was a sacrifice in a way, because like, okay, my mom worked 3 jobs and provided the resources for her to go get that chicken, or to get that liver or chitlins or whatever. You're like, so there was a sacrifice when it came to sitting down at that table. And so and it was really important that we had to eat the food, even if we didn't like it. I hate livers.
Yeah.
But we had to eat it because there was a cost to that.
Yeah.
You know? And so I remember that. And so right now, if we don't like it these days, we don't have to eat it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a lot different than it used to
be.
Yeah,
we really put food to waste. And back then, like, no, there's no waste. It's going to go in your waste, but it's not going to go in the trash can.
Right.
That's how that is.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I remember being told, you better not get up from the table.
You better not get it from the table so you clear your plate.
No, in reality though, like you was talking about the grilled cheese and the just I mean, what did we call it? Just the cheese bread, the cheese toast.
The cheese toast.
Cheese toast.
Yes.
Okay. Like you said, got the butter and you put it down in a broiler.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how you make it.
Oh,
That's how you make it.
Believe, I do know.
You
I
got
do
to
know.
pay attention because
yeah.
you burn it.
Oh yeah, I do know. I done burned a
Right.
couple pieces, you know, because you get older and you want to make it, so they say go ahead, and then you know, and then I mean, not even just the big block of cheese, you had the big block of butter too.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
butter. Right. Right. I remember scraping that butter.
and that clear wrapping or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we had the government cheese, and these days we have Sargento, you know, and you're
Yeah.
like, no, there was no Sargento back then. We
Right.
had the block cheese. And so,
And the block butter.
And the block
and we had to do to
Right.
to make it happen.
But
that's right.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but you know what? Out of all of that, it makes the best memories, best
Does.
conversations.
Yes.
I just remember even my mom, like you said, my mom would make tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches when
Yep.
I was little, and that was like a happy meal to
Right.
me. You know what I'm saying? Because grilled cheese sandwich, that's always been my
Made you
thing.
happy.
It made you
Right,
happy, you
right.
know. But it
Food
was
makes you
good
happy.
times.
It does. It does.
It really
It
does.
also too made me kind of sad when you know, my mom wasn't there because she worked. I understand her assignment.
Yeah.
So a lot of times at that dinner table, it was me and my brother, my grandmother, my great grandparents. And I remember, you know, we used to get treats. I remember we used to get those little Debbie donuts as a treat. And I thought, man, this is the best life with the donuts, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And we were watching wrestling back in the day, and you know, all those things. And so yeah, it does create these wonderful memories, and it does make you happy. But at the same time, you're like, I wish the whole family was together
Right.
with that.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
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 And they just couldn't. And, you know, some kids don't understand that. Like, your parents have to work. Sometimes it might be you and your sibling, or you and a grandmother at the table. But as long as you're at the table, that's where it builds connection. It builds relationship. It doesn't matter what the family unit looks like. It's just something about coming to the table.
Yeah.
That's just,
And, you know, we didn't. I mean, I remember, not to put my personal business out there, but even younger, you know, we sat at the table. But as time changed, the world changed. TV became your entertainment while sitting at the dinner table instead of sitting down and having conversation.
True.
That does not happen. Some households, it still happens because they believe in, no, we're going to put the TVs, the phones down. We're going to have conversation. We're going to enjoy the time that we do have, you know, just to be able to say, you know, this is what we did. But
Right.
Yeah.
That's because life happens. And because life happens, we have to break those traditions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know,
Yeah.
like that Sunday dinner, 5:30.
yep.
We're all together. I don't care what you're doing. We're having family dinner.
You got to make it happen.
You got to make it happen. And now, I don't know when's the last time I did that. You know, I'm that person that's sitting on the couch with my plates and, you know, and not having conversation. It's just me, but not having conversations anyone. So I'm letting the entertainment speak for me. And honestly, sometimes it is quite sad.
It is. And I didn't even notice, like, you know, my kids are grown, but just being at home alone, oh, man. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to just go home and do what I do. It's just me.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to take a step back because we started off talking about the government assisted food, right? And there was a lot of stuff that, you know, we got and we had to do to make it
Right.
something, you know, edible, right?
Right.
But you also mentioned chitterlings. Okay. Chitlins or
Yeah.
chitterlings, however you want to say
Yeah.
it. And that makes me think back to when that was all we had. When we were given the scraps and whatnot, but we made it into what we had to make it into, right? To make it taste, you know, as good as it could for you know, for us to ingest. But we kept that going, even though there's other options, but that was a thing possibly as far as, you know, like we talked about things that brought us together as a family. It's just been passed on and,
Right.
you know, because people that eat chitlins get excited when somebody is cooking some chitlins.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. There's always that one person in your family that's responsible for that.
Right. You got to clean
Just like
them.
there's one person responsible to make the collard greens.
Right.
And the potato salad. And then there's one person that just brings the ice. Like
Right.
their gift is not in the kitchen.
Right.
Right.
Bring ice. Bring soda.
So if your name is Bird, you know your job.
Yeah, but you know what happens if that person's gone? Like there's been a lot of deaths in the family. You're like, oh, that person that made the chitlins.
Yeah.
Guess what? It wasn't passed down to anybody else, because it definitely wasn't passed down to me, because I wasn't responsible for that.
Yeah.
But you know, like again, that's what happens. Like, you know, when death happens, tradition's broken as well.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we want to pass those culinary gifts to our family, but it's kind of hard. Like I have like cousins and stuff like that, you know, that don't do that. Like I'm not in the kitchen. That's just, that was auntie, you know, Auntie Lisa. That's not me.
But those family get-togethers, when you do that, and again, that falls back into, you know, the things that are important, because I can remember even being little when we lived in Pennsylvania, my mom would cook, and then her siblings would come in, and they would all the women would be in the kitchen cooking, and my dad and my uncles and them were like in another room, either watching games or movies or something. But I didn't know what was going on, but I just liked the fact that they all were in the kitchen cooking, and I got to be around them, even though I didn't understand nothing they were talking about.
Right.
Because I was just a kid. But it was it was looking at everything they were doing as far as the cooking went. And like yourself, I attribute to my little skills to my mom, you know, and my aunties and all them, just from watching them in the kitchen, you know, and just being around it. It was just different.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I agree to that.
So that actually transitions into you know, this question about what inspired you to start the Sip.Savor.Soul and connecting the community with cooking program, and how has that changed since 2014? So you started that in 2014, and that's bringing people together to learn how to cook, if I'm correct, right?
Well, yes and no. So so Sip.Savor.Soul actually started in 2014. It was just a name that I came up with. And actually, I was really involved with wine. I lived throughout my years from high school, college, and before I moved back up here in 2015, I lived down south. And so I lived in Nashville for 10 years. Beautiful wine state. And that's where the sip actually started. It had nothing to do with just like drinking, but the sip part, and savor was food. So part of my business was I was doing food and wine pairings. I actually started that in 2014. So I volunteered for a wine company, learning about Bordeaux, learning about French wine and African wine and German wine and California wine and how to pair it with food. And I would go to these really exquisite events, like serving wine, studying wine, drinking wine. You know, I thought, this is the life, you know? And so I was like, okay, maybe I could start a business for those that maybe never been to a winery, never been to a tasting. Like I wanted to get people from my neighborhood that never left the neighborhood. And like, I want to bring it to them. I want to bring that experience that I've had to them. So I would do these wine education pieces, and I would do the food that that goes with it. So that was the sip, savor, and then the soul, because it came from the heart.
Yeah. Right.
But then life changed, and I think throughout the years, Sip.Savor.Soul changed, especially my work as a community health worker. When I came back up here, life changed. Family dynamics changed. I was divorced. I lost everything. I wasn't thinking about wine pairing. I did drink wine. I was like, okay, that's my therapy now. Now I don't want to teach it, but I really need help trying to find myself and trying to figure out what's going to happen after divorce? Like, what am I going to do next? And it took me a long time to figure that out. And I'm like, should Sip.Savor.Soul live? Because that's what I want it to be, that food and wine pairing, or is it going to be something else? But I humbled myself. I prayed about it, kind of figuring out, okay, what, wine? There's no really wine up here in Akron. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, I was somewhere else. But then, again, working as a community health worker, I would do these health assessments for people that was hospitalized. They came home. We were just making sure, hey, do you have your medicine? Did you schedule your doctor's appointment? Does your family know you're home? A lot of these folks just are discharged and there's nobody there to pick them up.
Yeah.
They take a taxi or Uber and they're like, okay, does everyone know you're here? Do you have food in the house? And then that was the key thing. A lot of our patients were like, what brought me into the hospital is not having a food around me, not having fresh food, not having affordable food. My food source is McDonald's. My food source is the gas station. There's no farmers markets. There's none of this stuff. And I don't have it available to me. And that's what took me to the hospital. And I thought, wow. Okay, so let me do some research. And so what I would do as a community health worker, I would actually shop for them. Now, I wasn't really supposed to do that, but I really wanted to do that. I want them to get well.
Right.
Part of living is just making sure, like having that healthy life and that healthy mindset. And right now, them coming home from the hospital, it's sad, but they were still sick in a way, like, because for hospitalizations, it's like 48 hours. If you don't get the necessary things you need, your medicine, your food, you can be readmitted into the hospital. So I would do my due diligence. I would go out there and get the stuff and make sure that they had what they need. Grocery shopping. I've had people that didn't have pots and pans. I have all this food and I don't know how to cook or I don't know what to do with it. And, food would go to waste. And I'm like, okay, well, let me help you with that. So it was just more than just health assessments. I was doing food assessments, in a way, so making sure that they had what they need in their home. And now 2024, I think Sip.Savor.Soul became a movement now, because it's not just about eating well, it's cooking well, it's living well. We're in the midst of hunger is a humanitarian right. And starvation, hunger is a disease. And we have a lot of people out here, especially the children. My heart's with the kids, but we have kids that are just starving. And I'll share that a little bit later. But like right now, we're dealing with childhood and family hunger and food insecurities and food deserts. That's still there. Yeah. That's the desert. But the desert's in the home. Like there are people that are going hungry in the home.
Right, right.
And that's what Sip.Savor.Soul kind of morphed into in 2024. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you've done a lot with that. It has evolved. From just making sure that people have food in the fridge and having pots and pans to even cook with. But them having those things now. So the piece about like teaching how to prepare certain things and how to cook that. That is within there as well, correct? Or is that something outside of?
Yeah, we teach, like my business, I teach culinary education, basic common cooking skills. I will say this, because a lot of people have asked, like, did you go to culinary school? I did not. I wanted to go to culinary school, but life happened. I didn't get a chance to go. So a lot of it comes from the spirit of my great grandmother. Okay. It comes from trial and error. Right. I mean, I don't watch a lot of YouTube videos. I'm very creative in the kitchen. It's like I grew up in college not having a lot of choices. I couldn't afford the meal plan. So I would go to the local Rite Aid and I'm like, okay, what can I make here that's going to satisfy me? It's not all about chips. There's nothing wrong with chips. But I'm like, I got this exam. I need something that's going to sustain me so that way I can do well in my academics. And so it became so much more. And yeah, I mean, I just took it and ran with it. So what makes my business really stand out is my authenticity and just keeping it real. And like, I jokingly say I teach healthy cooking classes, but guess what? I still struggle with my health. Yeah, I teach people how to make salad, but guess what? I'm thinking about that cheeseburger when I leave because that's just being real. I'm being real with it. And then you realize, guess what? I was thinking about that too, talking to other people in the class. But what I will say, right now in my classes, I've worked with some farmers. I partner with farmers markets like Let's Grow Akron, and we're working with other growers, and we're really trying to take it back to how it was during the day. Like, I don't know if about you guys, but we had a garden.
Yeah, we did in the backyard for sure.
Yeah, we're trying to take it from soil to the soul.
Right.
That we want to take it back there. Like that's not my thing out in the garden.
Right.
It's when it's harvested. Come bring it in
There
and
you
I'll
go.
show you what to do with it.
Right.
So my classes, I just show them just some basic skills. These are some must-haves you need in your home. You do need salt and pepper. Yes.
Right.
You do need oil. Now we always say, olive oil is better than vegetable oil. You need that. You definitely need some fruits and vegetables. You need some proteins. You need some carbs. You need something. It has to be well balanced.
Right.
And I do teach that. But also I always say too, I don't like the word healthy. I do say that. I say that because I say healthy means denial. And I don't want anybody to feel guilty about wanting a piece of cheesecake.
Right.
Ever. Because I'm not guilty about eating a piece of cheesecake.
I love cheesecake.
Yeah. And I don't want any of my participants to feel guilty about that. I'm like, look, I want to show you a different approach to it. That's my class. I'm going to take something that people like. We're going to put a healthy spin to it. And a lot of that is just maybe an ingredient substitution. Or how you prepare it, because sometimes there's healthy ways of preparing the things that you like.
Right.
I was talking to some people the other day because as you know, I've been on a diet, but I was telling people you don't have to deprive yourself from everything. Some stuff is just so simple as changing one ingredient, that you might need to change in the whole recipe, and then you're okay.
It's a game changer, that one thing. Yeah.
Right, just that one thing, or maybe minimize how often you're eating it, but doesn't mean you have to take what you love completely away. And I think the thing is, when people learn how to fall in love with food, but the right way, not so much as a comfort thing, but more so, falling in love with it. I think that makes a difference.
And also, too, the biggest component is moderation, too. Like, that was the thing that I struggle with. Because guess what? You can binge on salad. Did you know that? People are like, well, it's salad. Well, yeah, you can still binge on it just like you can binge on cheesecake.
You can drink too much water.
You can drink too much water. Oh my,
I've done it.
I've done that too, and I tell people, like, look, I never want you to feel guilty about eating something that you like, but we're going to give you some tools here. Here's some healthy approaches to make you feel good about yourself, to make you feel good about eating that or preparing it. I never ever want anybody to feel guilty in any of my classes,
right?
At all. Yeah.
So to date, you have taught over 450 cooking classes.
Oh yeah,
right? 450. So so with that, what challenges have you noticed among families with limited resources, and how did your program address them?
Well, right now I'm really focusing on the kids. I do 2 after-school programs currently, and I'm working on a few more. But I wanted to focus on the kids. The reason why is because adults are kind of set in their ways. If I don't like broccoli, I'm not going to make my child eat broccoli. Yeah. But guess what? I'm going to make that child, I'm going to show them a really cool recipe with broccoli. And hopefully that parent will mimic what that child is eating. So that's my approach. And so I get kids to eat rutabaga and eggplant and celery root, and like a lot of the kids are familiar with the apples and the bananas and the carrots and all that stuff like. But I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna make you eat onions, and we come up with a really cool recipe regarding that. But right now, I'm kind of, what saddens me right now, what I'm dealing with. I spoke about the childhood hunger. I have kids right now that are the chefs of the family. Right. Like I have, and we're talking about 7, 8, 10, 13. And they tell me, Chef Danny, if I don't learn, we don't eat. We're talking about the siblings, the mom, whoever is in that household, we don't eat. Right. So they take it very seriously. I want them to have fun, but they really need to learn because it's about survival now, And I have kids in my class that also don't eat. And they made this wonderful recipe. They worked really hard, like when they were cutting and peeling. And a lot of kids are really meticulous about how they make the recipe. And then they're so proud about their, like the finished product.
Right.
And then they're like, well, I don't want to eat it. And I'm like, you don't like it? What's wrong? And they're like, well, I just want my mom to eat. This is for my sister,
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart. And I thought, okay, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
So my program, I make sure that the whole family unit, I'm working with some organizations that get it. Not just making sure we have enough for the class, but we need to make sure we have enough for these kids to take home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also have other kids too that just scarf their food down. And I used to be one of those kids because I thought there wasn't going to be anything left. I need it all.
Yeah.
So we have kids coming for seconds and thirds. And I thought, okay, you can take it home. And you're like, well, no, if I do, there might not be any more, or my brother's going to steal it. Or, I've had kids that tell me that. Like, we take the food home. And I had one kid that got bullied on his way home and came back and said, this kid took my bag. And that was my dinner.
Yeah.
So they just eat it all right now.
Right. Wow.
Because they don't know if they're going to have it when they get home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just back up a little bit and just speak on how you approach getting kids to eat eggplant and what did you say? Asparagus or root. So
yeah.
have you ever done the just make it and allow them to just taste it, and they're asking you what is it, what's in it, and blah blah blah, but you just let them try it? Have you done that approach?
Not really. I
Okay.
take things that kids like and adults like. We put a healthy spin to it. So like let's say zucchini, for example.
Yeah.
We'll do zucchini fritters.
Okay.
We make their own dipping sauce.
Oh.
And, kids are like, I don't like zucchini. I don't like. I
See?
said, okay, now wait a minute. I say, it's not how you start. It's how you finish it.
Okay.
And, once they see all these ingredients on the table, I was like, look, I just need you to do this and peel this and crack this. And, we get their hands dirty and then they get really excited. Like, oh, this is fun. It's messy.
Yeah.
Kids like mess. It's a lot of fun. And then you're like, they're frying it or whatever. Like, oh, they're making their sauce. You're like, and I get them motivated. I am their cheerleader because guess what? A lot of these kids do not get encouragement at school. They don't get it at home. But guess what? They're going to get it in my class.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to motivate them.
So you don't got to trick them.
I don't have to trick them. Recently we did baked potato soup. Now here's the thing: kids like potatoes, but they like what? French fries.
Yeah.
They like mashed potatoes. They never seen it in a soup. Okay. And so they're looking at all this stuff. So we had the potatoes. I had the kids shred cheese, cheddar cheese, and bacon. Like, oh, I like bacon. Well, bacon's for breakfast. No, you can put it in a soup. I'm going to show you how to do that. There's other ways to eating stuff than what you're used to. So my classes, they're thinking outside the box. I want them to. And then we're putting it all together, and I'm like, okay, there's the bacon and the cheese and the onions and the potatoes and da 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 da. And then the kids, they're coming up for thirds. Like, this is a cool way to eat potatoes besides French fries and ketchup or ranch.
Right.
So that's kind of like how I do it. I get them really, really excited about these recipes. And lastly, speaking about the soup, I had a kid, she's 8, and she was holding on to that soup. I will never forget that fear in her face. And she said, Chef Danny, will there be soup for my mom and my little sister?
Yeah.
And I said, sweetie, yeah, I want you to eat. Like, you worked so hard to cut those potatoes and shred that cheese. Yeah. Like, this is your work. This is your food. I want you to eat it. And guess what? She sat there and didn't eat it. And that fear, I will never forget that fear in her face. And so we were packing up, and we had plenty of food for those to take, for the kids to take home. And I said, you see that bag over there? I said, that's for your mom and your little sister. I want you to eat. And guess what? She ate.
There you go.
She ate.
She wanted to make sure they had.
She needed to make sure that there was food for her mom and little sister, because I guess what? If we didn't have anything left, she wouldn't have eaten it at all.
Right.
And she's not the only one.
Do you guys refer any of the families to like food banks in the area or anything like that, where if they don't have enough, they can, possibly.
Not really. I'm going to be honest, and I hope I don't have any disgruntled viewers, but I'm grateful for food banks. There's a lot of food banks out here. However, I get people coming to me say, I don't know what to do with two big, large cabbages and a box of overripe mandarin oranges and a box of noodles and 3 apples. Like, I don't know what to do with that.
Right,
and then I'm
right.
allergic to flour, so I can't even eat the noodles and like all those
Right,
things. Like,
right.
what do I do
Yeah.
with it?
Yeah.
And guess what happens? A lot of that goes to what? Waste.
Yeah.
It goes to waste.
Mhm.
So I'm grateful for them. I really wish that we could the boxes would be more I'm trying to think of the word, designed that you could really make something. Like, let's have a protein in there, let's have a starch in here, let's have
Yeah.
a vegetable, let's have a fruit. Like, it needs to be a well-balanced box, not just a hodgepodge of stuff that just came in. Like, I asked them, would you eat that? Like, if that box was for your family, would you eat that? And if the answer is no, then why would you give it to somebody else? Like, we're just trying to get rid of it. But guess what? If no one knows what to do with it, they are going to get rid of it too. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. I remember one time I can only remember one time doing this with my kids, and we had to go to a food bank. And I remember getting something in there. It was like, think about it. It was something with some pork and something in the can. It was the black and white can. And I just remember, like, how gross is this? Like, I don't know I don't even know the first thing to do with it.
Yeah.
So those cans either just kept getting hand-me-down.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't
And
eat
that's
it.
a lot of this food is hand me down. I mean, honestly. And then there's some organizations out there that, they're not allowed to give some of this food away. They have to discard it, which is unfortunate. You're like, no, we could take that. Why would you? But it's the policy. We have to throw it away. But yeah, I actually reached out to someone at a food bank and say, hey, I have a great idea. Let's do food bank recipes. Like, give me some stuff. We'll do a class. People can come. Here's the box. This is what you can make with it. Here's a few ideas. Here's maybe some additional things you might have to get from the store. Like, I proposed that. So if anyone's listening out there that works for the food bank, you call me. I have tons of ideas with that. And
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
And that's kind of you were trying to think of the word. I was thinking like curated.
Yes.
That's
it. That's
and then you could put in what you could make with these items that you have received. I think that would be good, and it would assist with individuals really using what they have and not it going to waste because they know what to do with it. So that is a great idea.
Yeah, because it's very discouraging. It can be quite daunting when they get that box because it changes weekly or daily, and you don't know. You're like, I don't know what to do with it. Or you get the same box that you got last week, and you're like, I wasn't able to do anything with it last week. Now I don't know what to do with it this week. And then you try to give it away, or you're trying to figure it out, and you're like, I'm going to McDonald's. Forget it. This is just too much.
You make a life-altering decisions at that moment.
Yeah.
Like, I can spend these $2 for a burger.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
Eat something that I ain't got a clue as to what it is.
Yeah, right. You really have to pray. You're like, Lord, I just don't know what this is right now, but help me digest it in the name of Jesus, because I don't know what
hope it tastes good.
I hope it tastes good. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, look, let's move on to something that is successful. Okay.
Oh wow.
So let me ask you about any success stories or memorable moments from your role as an instructor for one of your cooking programs.
Okay, so I have many of them. I struggle with this with appreciation and gratitude. Like, I've won awards. I've been on Fox 8 about 8 times, and I mentioned to you before the segment that I haven't watched them,
Yeah.
And people are like, what? And I'm like, well, because I'm so critical, because I can look at it. You're like, no, I wasn't supposed to do that. Oh, I should have said that. Oh, like, that's just me. I'm always just critiquing every little thing because I want it to be right.
Right.
But yeah, I'm grateful to been in several magazines. I've won recently the Golden Fork Award with Akron Urban League.
Oh, nice.
And there were 5 other food entrepreneurs in the category. Now, I'm the only one that's the culinary instructor in this category. And some of those folks have food trucks. Some had a brick and mortar. And the cool thing about that was I didn't really think I deserved it. It's kind of crazy. And I remember being there, and they're like, the person that won this award won by 5 votes.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, 5. And we were the most, out of all the categories, we were the most voted. Like almost 2,000 people voted in the city. And they're like, yeah, this person won by 5. And they're like, Chef Danny from Sip.Savor.Soul. I was like, what? I was like, what? Really? Oh my God. And then I'm thinking, this person should have won. Why this person win? Like, not even giving myself gratitude.
Yeah.
And that is something I have to work on. But here's the caveat to that. So my page right now, Sip.Savor.Soul, has maybe 750 followers. The person that came in second place has over 7,500 followers. Okay. So what does that say? And I really actually thought about it today. It means it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It's about the value.
Yeah.
That's
You bring value to your business. And I want to encourage everybody out there that has that. Well, I don't have a lot of people, and I don't know if people like me. You are liked. You are loved. You are needed. You are appreciated. We need your business. And that is something that I have to remind myself every day, every moment, those days that I don't like to get up and do it. I'm like, I'm juggling classes and programs, and I'm the solopreneur. I am tired. I'm just tired, and it's like, okay, I have value. I am appreciated. I am needed. I am loved, Those are those affirmations I have to say. So that's the greatest, I would say, reward. I can finally say I'm worth that award. My work is golden, and I can say that with pride and dignity. I mean, I think before I could not say that. And I've got a lot of recognitions and some upcoming nominations. Someone came out like, you're nominated for this. I can't say it yet, but I'm like, wow, I'm just a servant. I just like serving my community. I'm not thinking about the award, like, but it's just a reminder, like that award right there. It's a reminder that you have value.
Yeah. And that's leads me into a question of, you being on Quit for What? Right?
Yeah.
So like you just mentioned, a lot of times being a solopreneur, we get tired, right? We don't, have as many followers as somebody else or whatever, as many likes and whatnot. And we have to really step back and look at the fact that sometimes people are seeing our stuff, people are liking our stuff, but they're not physically liking it. People aren't physically clicking follow or subscribe or anything like that, but they're still watching or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. But the people that are doing that are the ones that, like you said, may vote for you in a something that you have going on, but they might not be the person that's really all on social media in a sense, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I always say I may not have a lot of Facebook followers, but I am the face of this book. I am out there in the community.
Right.
You have to put yourself out there.
Right.
You have to keep sharing the story.
Right.
I say that a lot. You have to.
So with all that we just said, has there been a time where you really felt like quitting, giving up? Let's talk about that.
So, real talk. I felt like a hypocrite, and sometimes I feel that way sometimes because I was teaching like healthy cooking classes, and we live in an unhealthy culture, but I was living an unhealthy lifestyle. And so I'm like, how can I teach healthy and I'm eating unhealthy? Like, I don't know. Like, I really felt like I love what I do. I just didn't love the person doing it. I just feel like I got to work on myself. And I remember saying this to myself one time, like the word Sip.Savor.Soul. I said, my soul is broken right now because I'm drinking too many sips and I'm eating too much savory. And now my soul's broken. Yeah. So right now, internally, that's what Sip.Savor.Soul is for me. And I don't know if I can go back out there and do another class. I don't know if I can do another interview. Because for me, I struggle with food, like the emotional eater. Like I said earlier, I would teach how to make kale salad, your own pita chips, and I leave and I go straight to Burger King and I have it my way. Like that was what I was doing. Yeah. And I thought, people would come to me like, I love your class. You're making, like my daughter's eating for the better. I've lost 10 pounds and I'm like, I wish I could lose 1 pound, like, and I was rooting for them, but I couldn't root for myself. Yeah. Yeah. That was the struggle. And I remember I was at a store, I was at Walmart, and I remember just like holding my head down and I was like emotional. I was like, I think I need to take a break from this. And it's okay to take a break. You need to recharge. You need to reset. It's okay. And I thought, you know what? I think there's other chefs out here. Let them shine. Let them have their light. Like, I think I really need to sit down and think, what is the future of Sip.Savor.Soul? Right. So anyway, I was in the checkout and then all of a sudden I hear Chef Danny in the store. Yeah. And I looked up and there's this little girl running to me. Yeah. And she gave me the biggest hug and she's like, Chef Danny, I love you. Oh. And I thought she was just, oh my God, I'm not going to get emotional, but I was like, okay, and I'm like wiping the tears because the things that I'm going through internally. Right. Yeah. And this girl just gave me she gave me her strength. Honestly, she gave me her love. And I felt that in that little girl. Yeah. Yeah. And her mother comes up and like, I'm so sorry she embarrassed you. Oh my God. I mean, she was screaming in that store, and she's like, you know what? My daughter loves your cooking classes. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, we are eating for the better because of your class. And I just want to thank you. Yeah. And I thought, okay.
That was it.
Yeah. That was my aha. That was my reset. That was my proclamation. Like, okay, Danny, it has nothing to do with you per se. It has to do with the people. It has nothing to do with my size. It has to do with the service. Yeah. Like I had to keep reminding myself like that right there. That was the testimony that I needed to keep moving forward in my business. Yeah. And everybody's going to have that breaking point. Everybody has a breaking point, but I'm telling you, God will bring you something. It's a person, it's a place, it's a memory, it's a thing to remind you, to bring it back. Yeah. And to keep going. Like your work is not over. That's it. And I just, I will never forget that. Yeah. And that was it. So you felt like giving up. I did. I did. And I remember just wiping those tears and I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then after that, I think I got a few calls to do classes. I had a call to do an interview and I thought, okay, this is my purpose. Yeah. The passion came back, and that's what happened in that moment. I just thought, you know what, again, that goes back to what I said earlier, like you have value.
That's it.
You do.
Right. And if you stop, if you give up, if you quit, those opportunities that came your way for you to speak or teach, you would not have been ready for those things because you would have taken a step back.
And sometimes if I would have made the decision to quit, some folks quit and never get back up.
That's it.
Like that's it. And like you can take a break. There's nothing wrong with taking a break.
You can pause, you can pivot.
You can pause and pivot,
That's
shift,
what I say, right?
But I'm not telling you to give up. I'm not telling you to quit. And why?
Yeah,
why?
Quit for what?
And also to add to that too, like God gave us these amazing gifts. Like He gave you your gift for doing this digital content. and me as a chef, like he gave you that gift.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't something that you already had. That wasn't something I already had, like when I was born. But I realized, like, for me, it's a ministry. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it's a business. You got to make money. I'm like, no, it's a ministry for me. I have been blessed. I have been enriched, really. Not rich, but enriched, which is more powerful than money you could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
But, I realized, okay, this is my assignment, and he gave me this. And if I quit, guess what? He can give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
He will pass that gift on, and then guess what? I don't even know how to cook anymore. Like I'm like, what happened? Well, you made the decision to quit, and guess what? He gave it to somebody that wanted it more than you.
And like you said, being enriched, and you are enriching others.
Yeah.
Like speaking of the little girl that ran up to you and says how she loves you and whatnot. So So you're bringing value, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
And
for
then
sure.
you're also leaving a lasting impression. They're always going to take away from that.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
I
I'm
agree.
sure all those people, you left an amazing impression because they're doing something that they never thought about doing.
Yeah. And we're not, with cooking, we're not doing all these fancy like French cooking and all these really technical things or anything like that. It's just, I'm taking it back to grandma's kitchen.
Yeah.
Taking it back to grandma's house, to mama's kitchen. Like, we're coming together, and I love the beauty of that when people from different neighborhoods and different backgrounds and different ages and different financial statuses come together. All that's out the door.
Yeah.
Really, we're coming together as a community, and we're cooking and we're sitting at the table. I want to take it back because I haven't sat at a table in a long time.
Right.
But just to come back and sit together with the kids or with the
Yeah.
adults, and we're eating and we're talking about what you like about the recipe, what didn't you like? Well, how can you make it differently? Do you feel confident enough to make it at home? And then people sharing stories. Oh, you know what? My grandmother used to make that, when I was a kid. Like, so that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of that, it's kind of a good transition to, you said like not anything too fancy,
No.
you know what I'm saying? Just, some basic things that are good though, for people. So this next question is about families often worrying about food quality and cost. All right. What practical tips can you offer for making healthier choices on a budget?
Well, I definitely encourage everyone to go to a farmer's market. Let's Grow Akron. I've partnered with Lisa Nunn for the past 7-8 years. I love her to death. We do seasonal cooking classes, and she does garden classes and stuff like that, kids in the garden. So again, we're trying to take it back to its original roots. That's why I said that soil to soul. Encouraging people to go there because guess what? It's actually quite cheaper. And here's the cool thing about going to a farmer's market or a local grower. You know where it came from.
Yeah.
You know how it's grown. You know it came from a seed. You know that person grew that with love. Okay,
Right.
you go to the store. It was shipped from another country. How long has it been on the truck?
Right.
How long has it been on that counter? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just, there's a lot of manipulation, too many hands, too much processing. There's shipping, there's all this stuff that's going on. And it takes away from the integrity of that fruit or that vegetable or whatever. But if you go to that farmer's market, it's in its original form and it's beautiful. It
That's
smells
true.
good. It
That's
tastes
true.
good. It's local.
And it's local,
We need to continue to support local and eat local. There's some things that you can't get from a farmer's market. I mean, there's some things, but if you can get a lot of your stuff there, I mean, that's the best way to go.
It really is, because we were just talking about the fact that a lot of things are made. Like, I'm just terribly disappointed in how watermelons look nowadays, because they're making them without the
Seeds.
Seeds, yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I love grapes, and I took the lazy way out, but now I'm starting to realize, like, maybe I should just start going back to the seeds.
Yeah.
Because I don't get the same thing that I would if I would have just ate a regular grape, the same effect. And I'm thinking, oh, I love grapes. Yeah. Them big old thick, I love them grapes.
Yeah.
Huge ones.
Yeah.
I just go to town with them, but I just wanted to avoid spitting out seeds because I hate to hear people
Right.
It's a mental thing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's more healthier for you.
Right. And also too is important. This is now we're going to the cooking part of it. When I teach these healthy cooking classes, we do seasonal cooking classes because guess what? Not everything we eat are in season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're like, why are strawberries $5? They're not in season.
Right.
Right.
That's a summer thing. Okay. We're still in the winter time. And then it was shipped somewhere else. So the cost of shipping it from another country that it is in season to bring it in a climate that's not in season, it's going to be more expensive. That's why
Right.
it costs so high. I want people to know that. But when it comes to cooking, a lot of us, and especially how we grew up, we had to have the salts and the fat back and all the butter and all the oil and the hot sauce and all this. And that's just how we grew up.
Right.
You know, in some households, that's tradition. But for me, it's like we want to go back to the integrity of some of these beautiful, bountiful fruits and vegetables that was grown in our local backyards here. And I don't want us to manipulate it like that. Okay. So like, for example, collard greens, you don't have to put all that stuff in it. Just, you can do some herbs and some natural seasonings.
Yeah.
And it tastes like a collard green.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but back in the day, we put all that stuff in it and we cook it down and we cook it down and cook it down. But guess what? They were good.
Yeah.
Cornbread? They're good. But we took away the nutrients, right?
Yeah.
The originality of that collard green is gone because we stripped it of all the ingredients, the nutrients, because we cooked it. And then we got the hot sauce and all this other stuff into it.
Yeah.
You're not really eating a collard green anymore. It's there, but it's not.
I never
Hey.
understood the back fat.
Real quick, my guy Jermaine is on G Code. He said the powers to be gave us everything for our convenience, and we fell for it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I was talking about
Yeah.
fast food earlier.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatnot.
And it's even
Yeah.
getting worse. Now they're trying to make 3D food.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Who's
stuff
gonna eat
going on.
that? I'd be
Right.
looking at the
Right.
food all the time.
You know, and fast food is very expensive, just like cigarettes. But guess what? We still go to it. Like, a cheeseburger meal is what, $10 now. It could be $15, but guess what? We still
Still
go
gonna get it.
because
Still go
it's
because
the
it's convenient.
convenience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, speaking of that, can you give a simple but effective cooking tip for listeners to use in their daily lives?
Okay, when
Instead
you-
of going to McDonald's.
Oh,
and
I
Burger
got
King.
it. When you, this is kind of silly. I don't know if my mom's watching, but
Hey, Mom.
hey mom, if you're watching, I wish you can tell this story, but I'm gonna. Here's a really good tip.
Mhm.
The best tip: when you're cooking, stay in the kitchen. Stay in the kitchen. And what I mean by that is that sometimes we can get distracted. Like for me, like I'll cook and then like, ooh, Law and Order's on. Let me go in there real
You
quick.
heard
Yep.
that? Don't-
While
don't-
that's boiling or that's in the
Yes.
oven and this is my favorite jam and I'm just not paying attention. If you don't pay attention, your dish can be jacked up. And I have a great story with that real quick. So we were making breakfast and I made butter toast and so my mom said you need to stay in the kitchen because we put it under the oven, the broiler. Yeah. She's like, I need you to stay in here and watch it. Okay. Guess what? I went and cartoons was on.
Oh, that's it.
And I said, and I'm looking and I was like, and I got so glued into it. Guess what? The toast burned.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, through and through. And so it came out and it was black, like this mic, black. And so my mother's like, you're going to eat it.
She made you scrape it.
She said, you're going to eat it. I think it was 6 pieces. And she's like, you're going to eat it. And I was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I knew I was just, the cartoon. I wasn't, I was right here at the door. I was just watching.
Right.
And I didn't pay attention. And so she gave me a knife.
Yep.
And I was like, well, can I have jelly? I just see jelly, peanut butter, something. So
Something to go on that
something
dark
right,
bread.
yeah, right. So I'm scraping it.
That's
And
it.
scrape. And scrape. And then all the way through, it was black like this mic.
Wow.
And I put a little jelly on it. And I try to eat it and I'm crying. I apologize. And she's like, you're going to eat all of it. All of it. And then my grandmother came in. She's like, oh, no, we have plenty of bread. Don't let her do that. And she's like, well, she's going to eat it. she's going to eat it because I told her to pay attention. So for all of you out there, you have to pay attention to your food when you're cooking, when you're baking.
Stay in the kitchen.
Stay in the kitchen. If you need to put a chair in there and you bring your tablet, but I'm telling you, you got to stay in the kitchen. And I've learned the hard way, and I'm in that kitchen until it's done.
Right.
Okay.
And then I leave, and then, I'm like, oh, this came out right.
There you go.
Yeah, because distractions can jack up your dish. So I know it's a kind of a silly tip, but some people just forget. They just, and then you're like, oh my God, like I boiled all my noodles. Like, what's that smell? And then you look into your pot and all your noodles is absorbed all that water. And now you have burnt noodles at the bottom because you wasn't
in the kitchen.
It wasn't in the kitchen.
And no drinking while you're cooking.
See, I
get them burnt noodles.
I've had burnt noodles too. Like I wasn't paying attention.
I think we all. Well, some of us, a lot of us experienced that.
I was like, oh, 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. And then you're in a show. It's a half hour. Oh my! What is that smell? And then you're like, oh,
yeah.
I burned the noodles. Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm gonna. we actually are at our time, but I'm gonna go ahead and speak to my guy G Code's comment here. He said Amazon took the place of our malls. That took away small businesses, socializing with people, all for the convenience of not having to get up and go. Yeah. He said, I'm Chef G Code.
Awesome.
So listen, speaking of, small businesses.
Yeah.
Right. You have yours.
Yeah.
What advice could you give to anyone out there who wants to start a business?
Oh, I would say, anytime you do a business, it's about people. And if you don't like people, don't be in business. A lot of people like money. And if you're doing it for the money, you shouldn't be in business. Being an entrepreneur, humility goes a long way. Yeah. I've been very humble in this business. There's going to be a lot of no's. There's going to be a lot of thoughts like, I can't do this. I don't think I'm good enough. There's somebody else doing it or anything like that. I will say if it's something that you're passionate about, like you can't sleep, you're like, I got this idea. I want to do it. It's in my heart. Like I want to birth this thing. Okay. That is your moment to birth it. Yeah. And don't be afraid about the competition. And because there's a lot of folks out there that might be doing the things that you do or I do. I'm a chef too, but guess what? It's like Kentucky Fried Chicken. You have the original recipe for success. And share your story, I would say, finally, because that's what got me to where I'm at right now. Keep sharing the story. And if no one listens, that's okay. Keep sharing it anyway, because like you said, people are watching you. And be careful about what you put on social media as well, because your integrity is on the line. And if you're acting out on Facebook and that's not, you're like, well, that's not a reflection of my character. That's not, but people see that.
Right.
People say that. And lastly, too much is received, much is required. There's going to be a lot of work, and the higher you go, the more tested you're going to get. The minute you think you're worth it to be questioned. And I would also say too, validation and value do not belong in the same sentence. People are really, and I was a victim of that because I thought I need the validation, I need the likes, I need the comments, you need all that. But as I said in the beginning, you have value. Your business is needed, okay? Your business is going to be different from everybody else's business. Right. Stay true to you. Stay in your own lane. Who cares what anybody else thinks? There's going to be haters. There's going to be those things out there. But you remain loyal, you remain faithful, and have a support system around you. Have an accountability partner. If you're friend, have some friends that support your mission and vision. Because trust me, there's some friends that say, "Oh yeah, I like what you do," but talk about you behind your back. Right. Be careful. Don't share everything with everybody. Be careful what you put on social media too, because that can turn around into something negative. And you have to, yes, please be careful. But yeah, I would say your business is needed. We need you. And there's plenty of opportunities out here in Akron. There's plenty of opportunity. There's people that need your business.
That's it. So don't let nothing stop you. Don't let nothing hold you back.
That's
the
right.
naysayers, the people that,
That's right.
really may not have anything going on, but they want to talk about you and what you doing.
Right.
You
Yeah.
gotta tune them out.
Don't have to have the money right now. People are like, well, I need money. I need this. I need that.
Right.
No, I didn't have any money in this. I went out there. I shared my story, and people gravitate to that. Your work is contagious. If you do right by your business, if you do right by yourself, it comes right back at you. The good things, the blessings, the accolades, all that comes back. I promise you. I'm a witness to that. It comes back.
That's it.
It does.
So, Chef Danny, we thank you so much for being here.
This was exciting.
For sure.
We're going to have to come back. We'll do a cooking demo or something.
We got to do it.
We will do that.
I want to be in the cooking class.
Yeah, I will
gonna
definitely
do it.
be posting that. We got some cooking classes for the whole family coming up. We got some kids classes. We're gonna finalize some things, and follow me on social media, Dannika Stevenson, Sip.Savor.Soul on Facebook, Instagram. I'm not really tech savvy, but I'm out here, you guys. People are like, well, are you doing anything?
Yeah.
I'm out here. I really am. Just be on the lookout, and great things are coming. So,
Awesome.
yeah, thank you again.
Well,
Yes.
thank you. All right, y'all. So, Chef Danny is in the building. We greatly appreciate you for joining us tonight. Great show. Hopefully, you all are able to get something from that. There's a lot of gems.
Oh yeah,
Learned a lot today.
and I'm learning a lot
episode.
too. Like all these things I'm saying today, it's for myself too. Like we're all on this healing journey.
That's it.
About how we eat, how we cook, and how we live for the better. And I'm grateful that my business can encompass all those things. And we need to continue to support one another, y'all. Our businesses,
Yes,
a lot of us are
absolutely.
struggling right now. Let's support one another. Let's see what we can do. Pull our resources together, or just support. Like I always say, I'm going to say this one last thing. A lot of folks give out, they do shout outs, but don't show up for anything. They want to be tied to your name.
Yeah.
Connected to your name, but don't come to anything that you do. Don't buy any of your products. We got to stop doing that, y'all.
Yeah.
We got to stop.
Right.
We need you to show up, and we need you to show out. If not, our business can suffer. Community, we need you. We can't do our business without you.
Right.
So Akron, let's do better, and let's support our businesses.
Hey, we're going to say Akron and worldwide.
Worldwide, international.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So y'all, again, we thank y'all so much for watching. And with that being said, I'm going to leave y'all with this. Do what you got to do to make it happen. Don't give up. Quit for what? Until next time. Peace.
Peace.
All right, bye.